on agenda today, we have a very serious issue to talk about. First of all, my special guest today is Union Minister, the MOS of the Prime Minister's office, also in charge of personnel and training, is Jitendra Singh. We were going to talk to him about his home state of Jammu and Kashmir. But today the matter has become even more urgent, speaking to the minister over here, because of news and details of the horrific attack that has taken place along the line of control. What we know is that 2 soldiers were not just killed by what India is saying, by members of the Pakistan army, and their bodies were mutilated as well. Just how is India going to tackle this? We'll be speaking to the minister. We have on agenda our student audience who are going to ask questions. But first, let's just hear how the defense minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, reacted to this before we come and talk to the minister.
This is a reprehensible and an inhuman act. Such attacks don't even take place during war, let alone peace. Bodies of soldiers being mutilated is an extreme form of barbaric act. The Government of India strongly condemns this act, and the whole country has full confidence and faith in our armed forces, which will react appropriately to this inhuman act. The sacrifice of these 2 soldiers will not go in vain.
So that's what India is saying, that they will keep retaliating, they will retaliate strongly. But first, sir, when we hear about this, it is very, very disturbing. The news of 2 soldiers, one a head constable from the BSF, one of the Indian Army, 2 soldiers who were mutilated. How are you all looking at this in the government?
No, certainly at the outset, of course, like any other patriotic citizen, as you said, everybody would be disturbed to hear this kind of a news or this piece of news. The nation is indebted to its army, to its paramilitary forces. We are safe, secure, in a position to discuss amongst ourselves this and the other subjects, the manner in which we are sitting this evening. It's been possible only because when we are sitting here and leading the kind of routine that we wish to, there are soldiers guarding us, empty stomach, without sleep, and therefore I think this is the highest kind of a sacrifice, the supreme sacrifice, and of course also the gravest kind of human right violation. And certainly the society as well as the government takes cognizance of it, and I think there's nothing more to add to it after the Honorable Defence Minister Shri Arun Jaitley ji has said that this would not go in vain.
Yes.
And I don't think I need to add to that, particularly because these are sensitive security issues, and whatever is decided or whatever is planned is often not discussed very openly or publicly for good reasons.
No, I completely understand, sir, that it is a matter of extreme sensitivity because the families are getting to know only today. It is a matter of strategic importance. But I just wanted to ask you, sir, this is perhaps the 3rd attack of its kind that we're hearing. Since 2013, this is the 3rd mutilation that we are witnessing. In 2013, we saw, and in your government also tackled this in 2016 as well. Is there a lot of, because people are so involved, and your government was also part of the entire surgical strikes that took place after the last attack. Is there a lot of pressure now of how to give that appropriate response and also to look at the public response? Because what happens is, you see, because of social media and public talking, that there is a lot of pressure as well that we have to give a befitting reply. Is that something that weighs on the government?
No, I agree with you to the extent that you have now more than one medium of expression, whether it's social media or other media, and therefore the public expression, whether it is in the form of despair or otherwise, has more than one outlet, and which is quite in fitness of the things. But even if it was not so, the Modi government is sensitive enough. The Prime Minister himself is always in cognizance of the entire sequence of events, and therefore, even if there was not the kind of pressure that you are referring to, the government would have always decided to respond with the kind of sensitivity that it deserves, the kind of clarity that it deserves. And may I also hasten to add over here that of course there have been incidents in the past also before this government came in, as you were making references to 2013, etc.
Yes.
But it has been universally acknowledged within the country, outside the country, and even by the people living in the border areas, that the kind of retaliatory action or retaliatory response being witnessed over the last 2 years from this side was not witnessed earlier. And that is the reason. And
you mean like a tougher response by India?
Certainly, a decisive response. And the evidence of that comes out from the fact that a part of my own constituency is located on the international borders. And if you visit there, of course, some of you have been going there very frequently, people there are very confidently saying that we feel much more secure than ever before. Their morale is much higher than it was ever before. And they also bear testimony to the fact that they had never seen this kind of a decisive retaliatory action happening earlier. Now, if it is a rogue state which has done this kind of an act, of course, that is their doing. And that has also exposed them internationally. And I think that again is a part of an outreach by the Modi government, which has enabled to create a scenario where even those countries which were earlier not totally convinced with India's point of view are now coming around to India's point of view, to accept that Pakistan indeed is the birthplace of terrorism, and indeed the epicenter of gravest violation of human rights, at least in this region, in the Indian subcontinent, be it the Pak-occupied Jammu Kashmir or Gilgit-Baltistan or Balochistan, etc., etc.
Sir, I know that you can only say limited things on it. I think some of the students have a couple of things that they can carry, and you can only say what you are free to say. But I just want to ask, sir, one of the things that our media reports are pointing out is that the Pakistan Army Chief, General Bajwa, was at the LOC, their site, yesterday. Is the government linking those two incidents up? The fact that this attack of killing and mutilating our soldiers takes place a day after the Pakistan Army Chief visited the LOC. Are we linking the two?
No, I would not be in a position to respond to that,
okay,
for the simple reason that I am not directly privy to these kind of inputs. The concerned agencies, the Defence Ministry, the security agencies would be able to give you a brief at an appropriate time. But of course, as a responsible media, and a media which is patriotic enough to feel the pain, you are entitled to make speculations like that.
Okay, I wanted to just ask if anyone has a question about this. Yeah, go ahead.
So, sir, how far do you defend or how far do you support the Indian politics? Because recently we had the Sukna attack where 6 Jawans were martyred, and we had Indian politicians like Nitish Kumar who completely did not support the Jawans, and he was making comments against the Indian Army. So, sir, how far do you support that? And secondly, sir, recently we heard the sad demise of Vinod Khanna, and we had this Sukna attack also taking place. But we could see that people were more concerned and people were mourning more over the death of Vinod Khanna rather than the death of the death of the Jawans in the Sukna attack. So, sir, don't you think that people are more concerned about entertainment rather than the national security, where our soldiers are standing day and night for our protection? How far do you support that?
Certainly, taking up the first part of your question, I'm glad you asked that. And I think on a serious note, that brings us to 2 or 3 very important observations, and I have no hesitation to make that. As you said about the reactions of some of the leaders, I don't wish to, I never make a personal response, I have never done that. But yes, broadly speaking, we have to avoid the temptation of what I would describe as selective condemnation of violence.
How do you mean that, sir?
Yeah, I'll elaborate.
Yeah.
You cannot, you are not entitled to condemn an incident of violence when it suits your politicking or whatever your expedience interest, and turn a convenient blind eye when it does not. That is morally incorrect, proprietally incorrect, And also, that betrays your lack of conviction. It's just like Mahatma Gandhi's virtue of non-violence. He said non-violence is not the virtue of meek and weak. So if you have all the weapons and all the strength at your command to attack your opponent, and then you believe, you decide not to do so out of your belief in non-violence, that is your faith in non-violence. Not that you are being attacked, हाथ जोड़ के नहीं जी हम तो हिंसा में यकीन रखते हैं हमें छोड़ दीजिए. This is not that kind. That is cowardice. So again, yes, this selective condemnation is the reflection of a coward mind which uses soft situations to promote its agenda, even if it is political agenda, as this young boy is rightly pointing out. So I think that is something, because this is a nation in evolution. Certainly all of us, because we belong to the same society, whether the politicians or the citizens or the so-called intellectuals. So we have to evolve. This is just third generation of independence, and I've always been saying for the last couple of months that it's now the third generation of these children who are going to show us the way, because the old are still, entrapped in the past tricks.
So that point is a little hypothetical. If I can just come back
It's not absolutely hypothetical. It's not so, because I'll tell you, because as it's not hypothetical, it might sound to you, because I did not give you the privilege of calling names, which I will not. But this name, what boy called, other names, there are a couple of them, you may be knowing. They will remain silent when a killing happens in, for example, among the soldiers. But they make a lot of hue and cry when there's a killing of a militant. It's not hypothetical, it's happening right in front of us, day in and day out. We have to call this bluff, and only these boys and girls can do that, because elders like me and my earlier generation already are deeply entrenched in their own interests.